What is up, YouTube? It is Coach Kolton here to bring you physique development tools, skills, and opinions that hopefully you can use for yourself to make some gains. Today, I will be reacting to the Cali Muscle video. He just posted this post-heart attack, explaining sort of what happened and what he thinks was the issue at hand. I'm going to be reacting to it with you guys, so stay tuned. We'll cover some of this together, and I hope you enjoy this content.
This parent video that everybody been waiting 14 years for. For those who don't know my story, as a kid, I was in the sports, football, wrestling, track, went to college, boom, 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 got in trouble in college. I went to Fresno State, got in trouble, ended up going to prison. But I already went to prison. I already had, we put my 19-year-old physique in here. I always was fit, buff, like unbelievably buff. I look like a bodybuilder. When I got out of prison, I did 1994 to 2001. I got out. I got into becoming a personal trainer and a stripper. Did well with that, but I became a recidivist. Went back to prison 4 times. After that 4th time, I was like, let me try something new. Let me try some bodybuilding or something, because I had a lot of money saved. That's when my curiosity of steads, peds, roids, whatever you want to call them, came into play. A buddy of mine was like, if I did them, I would be a top athlete. So I'm like, shoot. You know, coming from prison, I talk down on bodybuilders and people that use roids and all that, like everybody else that's probably watching. You know, I was one of those guys. That's why I understand you guys. Oh, them buff dudes on roids, you know what I mean? I got videos. You go back to my first videos. I'm at Diego's gym, talking crap, lifting a 100-pound dumbbell behind my head, tricep extension. Them bodybuilders on roids can't do this.
For one, we're going to just start out with that. Holy shit. This guy was an absolute freakazoid at a very young age. Supposedly natural. Kind of debatable, to be honest with you, but I think he might be truthful here. His pictures, I mean, just look at those. He's insane at such a young age. Just barely having trained. He said he didn't even take this seriously, and this guy is at this umpteenth level, surpassing dudes who probably blast gear year-round, just standing, right? Without even training right, without even eating right, just being who he is already like so far beyond what most people would even think of while on gear. So supposedly him lifting, which you just saw, lifting 100-pound dumbbells, hyperextending his triceps, was him natural. Now I am a little curious on that. I don't even think that we would have seen that replicated by someone by now, and I just don't see that in our industry. So maybe he was natural and he's just an absolute freak, or we could be experiencing like a retrograde natty where he's saying he was natural, but he was actually on some stuff. I don't know. That seemed ridiculous to me. Also worth noting, he was in prison 4 times, probably eating a very healthy diet. Not necessarily the best diet model or lifestyle practices, but possibly some recreational drug use. I don't know. I'm not going to say it. He'd ever put that out there. Possibly, okay? We're just going to keep examining.
Seen a video of Jay Cutler, Ronnie Coleman, Flex Wheeler. They had all these cars and houses, man. And I'm like, is money like that in bodybuilding? Shoot, maybe I should sign up. I know I was too old for football or professional sports. So I was like, let me try that then. Doing research on roids and all that. Found a few people that could hook me up, so I started testing the waters. I had bought all the books. I had Googled every day. I used to Google 8 hours a day. So I did my first show, Orange County Classic, 2009, won first place out of 20 athletes. I said, we got something here. So I just kept progressing with the studies, kept meeting people. It was going good. You know what I mean? I was getting buffer. I was making a name for myself on the internet. 2014, I did the West Coast Classic. Won that heavyweight. So I contacted a few of the top elite nutrition experts, gurus we call them, in the business. They sent me a list of stuff I would have to take a day. I said, this sport is not for me. I was still concerned about my health. I was up in age. I was about 36 years old. And so I was like, nah. At that point, I knew it wasn't a lot of money in bodybuilding. Well, it's not no money, just being honest. It's gonna hurt feelings, but it's the truth. Y'all know. That's why you need somebody to sponsor you, because you're broke. So I was like, nah, it ain't worth it. Let me just focus on my YouTube and social media. At that point, I was like, I don't need to be on all this stuff. So I got on a TRT.
So before he gets into his TRT, I do want to make a note that he mentions there's no money in bodybuilding, which probably is very true. There's no money in competing. That is true. I think there is money to be had in bodybuilding if you are an Instagram influencer, if you make content, if you are an educator, if you are in the industry providing some sort of content. You're likely going to be making a pretty decent living. I know people, including myself, who make a decent living from this and are not even close to being professionals. It's just because we have the knowledge to do this. He also mentioned studying for, 8 hours or whatever he said. Now, I'm not going to try to diss Cali Muscle here with this. I just don't believe that. There's a lot a lot when it comes to compounds, the different compound selections. If he was really studying these things, would he have probably learned about ARBs, ACE inhibitors, things to manage his cholesterol like ezetimibe and statins, right? So, he probably would have learned that, hey, these things implement or it can impact my blood work quite significantly, and I should probably be regularly checking this. If you researched it, these would be common sense things to you. You would have done the due diligence, but we're just not seeing that here. So I just feel like that's kind of a disconnect. He's trying to be kind of a community influencer in the sense of saying, like, don't do this before you educate yourself, which I completely agree with, but it just doesn't sound like he's actually educated himself here. And he also says, once again, that he got sent this copious list of drugs, which was probably true, depending on what guru he was potentially working with. There's a lot of misinformation, and quite frankly, gurus, as we call them, don't know what they're doing. They don't even aren't really aware of all the full list of compounds that you can use to cause hypertrophy through several different pathways. They just kind of depend on mostly, growth hormone and androgens, unfortunately. So there's a lot more to that, and especially when you're talking about using like a single compound in high doses, that can be quite scary. But people don't take it that way, right? Because it's a single compound. They're like, it's kind of innocuous. But the reality is, if you're using multiple, if I was to break down a competition cycle for someone, my cycle would probably be like a lot more compounds included, like maybe 10 to 12, literally. And another person's might be 3, but they're heavily depending on androgens for that. So what he might be looking at is someone sending him these 10 to 12 things in lower doses, so to mitigate side effects, right? Keeping it below the side effect threshold, if you will, for that compound, and then switching to another one to cause more hypertrophy via a different mechanism. And he's seeing all those compounds, he's like really freaked out because maybe he did only use one thing before. I don't know, this is just speculation at this point, but let's continue.
Which for me was like 1 cc of testosterone every 10 days. And so I was able to sustain with that. 2016, I decided I wanted to have kids. So I went to an IVF clinic, did all the tests, saw that my sperm was 0. For me, I thought I was always taking a minimal amount of PEDs or whatever, STEDs, whatever you want to call it, juice. So evidently not. It shut my sperm down completely. So I went to the IVF doctor in Vegas. They gave me a package stack, whatever, of to get my sperm back up. That's why you guys see when I was in Vegas in 2017, I came down to like 198 pounds. I didn't use no steroids for about 1.5 years, because once she got pregnant, I was like, it's time to blast off. So my girl got pregnant in 2018, I want to say. That's why I slimmed down, trimmed down. The video why I lost my size was during that period where I explained to y'all as well what I was going through. I was being transparent as possible in that video as well. Let's backtrack. Prison. I did 11 years of prison. Top ramen.
Going to an IVF clinic, for those of you who don't know, that's basically a clinic where you go when you are infertile, trying to become fertile, and you're using artificial ways to stimulate fertility. Now, the thing with this is we know that TRT does not actually cause azoospermia, which would be like the complete destruction of all sperm in your body. You can be on TRT and still get people pregnant. I've known many people that do it. Without HCG, your balls will still have some sort of stimulation going on. For some people, it might be a lot. For some, it might not be any. So that's kind of a false statement. Generally what I should say is you probably should, if you are running anything, be running HCG in the background. I personally like this just for the adrenal steroid production, but as well, that's going to hopefully, ideally, in the perfect world, this is kind of vague within the literature because no one really studies this stuff, but hopefully it saves your testicles from atrophying and specifically getting scarred or cirrhosis. So that's probably really important to just chronically keep HCG in a low dose in the background throughout your cycles and throughout your courses, because if you do decide to come off as well, that means your balls will kind of be within that functioning range.
Noodles, carbs, bad food, period. That, I think, was the start of having plaque buildup in the arteries. So I ate crappy for years. I looked good on the outside, I would always say that my body could burn that stuff up, whatever, to muscle, all the top ramens, all the crap food. Before we do the IVF, I had a hernia surgery, and it was cosmetic. I got a physical. The doctors was mentioning some stuff about kidney, off, heartbeat. My blood pressure was always high since I was a kid. Blood pressure, I ignored it. I was a pessimist with the doctors, conspiracy theorists with the hospitals and all that stuff. So I was like, oh, they just want my money. I'm looking healthy and they jealous. They trying to find something wrong with me, They was always telling the truth. I would ignore it. And so when we did the IVF, I did the physical, same thing. Blood pressure high, not abnormally high, but high.
There's a lot right there. He mentions chronically having high blood pressure since he was a kid. He mentions the doctors talking about his kidney function and possibly cholesterol building up in his system via blood work, and he kind of ignored it. Now, if we're referring back to his statement of, hey, I researched all day long before I did these things, he would know that like that's direct signs of what he's doing to his body and implications to the damage he's been causing via using certain compounds. And he wouldn't just kind of brush those off as he did. Now, that being said, bodybuilders are like this. We don't care. We want to get the best results at whatever cost. And in the moment, it just seems fine and like everything is going to be okay. But at the end of the day, 10, 5, maybe even 15 years down the line, when those implications come back and bite you in the ass, that's when you really start to care, and those things become very exponentially noticeable, and you care suddenly more about them. Especially in Cali Muscle's case, I imagine that at this older age, he's really starting to care about his health, I would hope. But still having ignored these things up until the point he's at is pretty scary to say the least. And he mentions his bad diet, and that absolutely has a large role to play. You're eating top ramen for 90% of your carbohydrates, which he's made videos about, and canned tuna and packages of tuna and chicken. That's a lot of sodium. That's a lot of MSG. That's a lot of things that are going to really spike blood pressure. Lack of actual polyunsaturated, monounsaturated fats, which might help blood pressure and blood volume and viscosity. So a lot of red flags there right off the bat. And if you really had done your research, why are you not listening to the doctors when they're saying, hey man, you have some sort of kidney function issues, or we're looking at potentially you having kidney disease? Why are you not looking at, hey, I suddenly have edema around my legs, let's go get blood work and check kidney function? That's a direct sign of your kidneys not filtrating properly. Very scary stuff. And if it's not taken into account, there's a lot to be wrong. Okay, there's a lot that could be wrong, and sudden death is one of those things.
Plaque buildup in that artery, the main artery, it could take 10, 20 years to happen, which for me makes sense. When I was a kid, went to prison at 19, eat all that crap food, then compounding it years later with juice, you know what I mean? So it's a combination, man, because I don't have a history of heart problems in my family. Doctors even told me at times my cholesterol was high. I had warning. That's the thing. I just wasn't proactive about it. I didn't see myself and like everybody else that's dying or whatever. They know. It's just we don't want to, let me go to the doctor, make an appointment. Damn, I got to get a stent put in. I got stuff to pay for. I got to do this show, that show. I got to live. I got to work. So put it off. You know what I mean? And you can't do that, man. God definitely using me as an example, man. Oh, and I want to say, for all the people out there that think the mukbangs, let me explain the mukbangs to you. I don't eat like that, or didn't, or never in my life ate like that all day, every day. When we did those mukbangs, there's a lot of people trying to put the blame on the food, which, top ramen. I can't say the mukbangs, bro. That was like once a month. And I wasn't eating all the food all my life, so I've been conscious about my body. I wanted to look better than everybody. That's why came to Hollywood. I was getting booking most commercials, because I didn't eat crap food like that. That's how I was able to stay in shape and look good and whatnot. It wasn't the mukbangs. People doing these videos, I see, it was just him doing the mukbang, bro. That was like a bite. And sometimes I spit it out. You know what I mean? Like, I can't put the blame on mukbang. If anything, I'm put the blame on Top Ramen. I'm gonna put the blame on Mari Cohn and Top Ramen. Blessed and happy to be here.
Okay, so he mentions that he only did one mukbang a month, which, if you watched my prior video on why bodybuilders dying, please look at the link above. That's definitely not true, unless maybe he's just sandbanking those videos and saving them for much later. But there's multiple videos a month of him mukbanging and doing food challenges, calorie challenges, where the camera's rolling the entire time. So if he was really actually spitting this stuff out, I didn't see it. And if he is maybe forcefully vomiting, that's a whole nother issue. Maybe he has some exercise bulimia or bulimia in and of itself. I mean, there's a lot of things that could be going wrong there. And in the end of the day, none of this stuff is going to be healthy. No matter if you eat this once a month or twice a month, it's genuinely unhealthy to be like this. And I'm aware of it. My channel has tons of calorie challenges. I understand this, but I'm also doing organ imaging. I'm also doing blood work every 10 weeks. I keep track of myself and make sure things are in track. I also take ezetimibe. I also take an ARB. I also take an SSRI to control norepinephrine in my brain. I also do a lot of other things to control my health, heart rate, and function. So,
man, I look at my kids. That's why y'all seeing that one video, man. All I was thinking about was my kids, man. Damn, I'm not gonna be here to raise these beautiful kids, man. You know what I mean? Go have some weirdo with my baby mama after I pass. You know what I mean? Raising my kids, man. Yeah, man. I hope y'all learn from this. All the bodybuilders out there, my advice: get checked, and when you get checked, what they tell you, go get it done. Ain't nobody talk to us like how I'm talking to us right now. You a bodybuilder? If you've been on juice 3, 4, 5 years, boy, and because I'll tell you, I took pride in saying I took the less stuff possible, and y'all take it, boy. I'm telling you, man, go get a physical, get checked out, have them do a CAT scan, pay. Y'all, I know y'all already broke, but go ahead and borrow some money from somebody. Go borrow some money, get your physical. If you got to get a stent put in, get it. If they tell you your arteries clogged, which they are, I don't care. Y'all taking protein powders, weight gain, roids, hella food. Yo, it's packed. I'm telling you, be proactive. Do what them doctors tell you, bro. That's why so many y'all see all these people, even everybody doing video. If you ain't been in this situation, all you doing is speculate. I'm firsthand in this situation where I thought I was doing everything. I was cycled off. I get off the 3 months. That's why everybody be, he got small. Because I get off. Then I get back big. Then I thought I was doing it right. Evidently I wasn't. And I know y'all ain't, because you want to win a show. So you ain't gonna never get off. And guess what? Your system is effed off. R.I.P. George, Dallas, Sean, like all the people that just passed, man. They know. Everybody knows when they go get that physical, bro. They know. It's not a shocker. It's a shocker when it happens, because you don't expect it, you never expect it to happen, but you really don't expect it to happen that moment. When it happened to me, like, I thought it was heartburn, went in, and they rushed me in there so fast. I was in the hospital like 5 minutes in surgery. Like, it happened so fast. Like, luckily I was woke and I was able to think about my kids and how I was throwing up. Like, I threw up like I've never seen in my life. Like, non-stop, just like a waterfall. I feel sorry for people that think that while they was doing surgery. Anybody on that juice, bro? Go check out, bro. Doctor said I can still do PRT. But you know what I mean? I gotta keep my libido up, man. I got a woman 10 years older than me, bro. You know what I mean? But what I am gonna do every year is get EKG, scan of my whole kidney, heart, everything, bro. Hey, this was a wake-up call for the world, for me. You know, nurses were coming in there. Don't tell my baby mama. You know, they was like, what is you doing up in here, buff man? You know what I mean? Hey, I had too much testosterone in my system. You know, this is the most transparent video I did on this topic or issue. I'm an old man now, so I don't give a damn. Years ago, and most bodybuilders, they're not allowed, they can't say, you know, what they're doing. Like me, why would I tell the world at that moment that there was no need? Trolling the trolls, I was having fun. Thank y'all for all the love, support, man. You know, with me, I know I got love, whatever, but this really showed that I got major love. I hardly seen any negativity, and that's the way to be in the world, guys. I know everybody want to troll and hate people for whatever reason, but we in a weird time, losing a lot of people, man, and love, man, show love, man.
So Callie basically ends it there. Please go to his channel, follow him, give him some support, give him some love. He is a very big influencer. While he might have not made the best choices with his life, it doesn't mean that he's a bad person. He's a very good person. I've been following him since I was like 12 years old, so follow the guy, right? But a couple things that he mentions there at the end: pay for your organ imaging, pay for your blood work, pay for any sort of medical surgeries or practices that you will be getting done. Here's the reality. Most insurances are going to cover this stuff. You might have a deductible, but you need to do this, right? If you were just a normal person walking around and you were told you need to put a stent in your heart, that person would do it. But for some reason, bodybuilders will inject, you know, thousands of milligrams of medications into their ass and not actually take the ones that will save their lives as opposed to shorten it. So there's a lot that can be done here. In Cali Muscle's case, what could he have done to really have prolonged his endeavors and or completely avoided this in totality? Well, he could have done several things, from organ imaging to CT scans to, you name it, really anything, echocardiograms to EKGs. All this stuff could have indefinitely been done earlier on. He also could have, when hearing from the doctors that his cholesterol levels were off, his LDL was probably above 80, his HDL was probably below 20, and his cholesterol ratings were generally high, I'm assuming, as well as his triglycerides, as well as his kidney function was being significantly down. I would assume that his high blood pressure chronically had led to that sort of kidney damage at the end of the day. He could have been taking things like ARBs to control his blood pressure, as well as ACE inhibitors. He could have been taking statins, as well as ezetimibe, which would have controlled that almost entirely. And if he was able to get his LDL below 70, we know that plaque deposition doesn't really happen past that. So if he could have modulated that for the past 10 years, would this have happened? I'm not going to be the one to say no, but unlikely. So there's a lot of things you could have done in this circumstance, as well as proper cycle design. He mentioned that he got on and off and used low doses, but everyone's idea of a low dose might be different, and what they're using in combination with another thing could really exponentially increase the risk of using. So knowing what to use, when to use it, and how to safely use it in the safer use model would have probably prolonged his career, as well as his ability to make content, be buff, and not have a heart attack and clogged arteries. So really, this video is not to poke at Cali Muscle. Like I said, I've watched Cali since I was 12 years old, literally. So I've been watching his workout videos. I've been watching his prison. I've read his book. I mean, he's a super great guy. Super, obviously open with the community. Super welcoming. If you've ever met him in person, he's a great guy. But definitely, some things that he did wrong, and the reason I want to bring this video to the forefront is just so that you guys who are bodybuilders, who are taking these things, I know you're stubborn, I know you want to make the most progress possible, but it really is important to get these health checks regularly. I really encourage, which is sometimes unfeasible for a lot of people, but blood work every 10 weeks. If you have a really great doctor that's supported, go to a great HRT clinic. Then you can also buy the labs privately, get organ imaging at least twice a year if you're using supplementation, and just be wise. There's an argument out there that you don't need a guru or you don't need a coach, and I would argue that that's absolutely true for most people. A lot of coaches aren't educated on medical practices. Many coaches probably don't even know what the Merrick Index is, and haven't studied pharmacology in depth. When you kind of learn pharmacology, you learn as well biology and physiology with it. And coaches just simply don't know that stuff. So if you are going to practice particular endeavors that involve performance-enhancing drugs, it would behoove you to really find a coach who does intricately understand the pharmacology, pharmacodynamics and kinetics of particular compounds, and not just depend on the forums to provide you information or like anecdotes to provide you what works best. Truly go the safest route and what works for you. That's how you should always do it. Lowest effective dose of multiple different compounds, polypharmacy. If you guys need coaching, please reach out to me in the links down below on my Instagram. This is something I'm very well versed in, and many of my clients are currently today amazing bodybuilders with phenomenal and impeccable health markers. In fact, better health markers than some of my general population clients. But that is neither here nor there. I hope this video helped. Deuces.